The Journey or Lay of Skirnir. Frey, son of Njord, had one day sated himself in Hlidskjalf, and was looking over all regions, when turning his eye to Jotunheim, he there saw a beautiful girl, as she was passing from her father's dwelling to her bower. Thereupon he became greatly troubled in mind. Frey's attendant was named Skirnir. Him Njord desired to speak with Frey, when Skadi said: "Rise up now, Skirnir, go and request our son to speak, and inquire with whom he so sage may be offended." Skirnir. "Harsh words I have from your son to fear, if I go to speak with him, and to inquire with whom he so sage may be offended." Skirnir. "Tell me now, Frey, prince of gods, for I desire to know, why alone thou sittest in the spacious hall the livelong day." Frey. "Why shall I tell thee, thou young man, my mind's great trouble? For the Alf's illuminator shines every day, yet not for my pleasure." Skirnir. "Thy care cannot, I think, be so great, that to me thou canst not tell it, for in early days we were young together, well might we trust each other." Frey. "In Gymir's courts I saw walking a maid for whom I long. Her arms gave forth light wherewith shone all air and water. It is more desirable to me that maid than to any youth in early days, yet will no one, Æsir or Alfar, that we together live." Skirnir. "Give me but thy steed, which can bear me through the dusk flickering flame, and that sword which brandishes itself against the Jotun's race." Frey. "I will give thee my steed, which can bear thee through the dusk flickering flame, and the sword which will itself brandish, if he is bold who raises it." Skirnir speaks to the horse. "Dark it is without. 'Tis time, I say, for us to go across the misty fells, over the Thursar's land. We shall both return, or the all-potent Jotun will seize us both. Skirnir rides to Jotunheim, to Gymir's mansion, where fierce dogs were chained at the gate of the enclosure that was round Gymir's hall. He rides on where a cowherd was sitting on a mound, and says to him: "Tell me, cowherd, as on the mound thou sittest, and watchest all the ways, how I to the speech may come of a young maiden for Gymir's dogs?" Cowherd. "Either thou art death-doomed, or thou art a departed one. Speech will thou ever lack with the good maid of Gymir." Skirnir. "Better choices than to whine there are for him who is prepared to die. For one day was my age decreed, and my whole life determined." Gerd. "What is that sound of sounds which I now sounding hear within our dwelling?" "The earth is shaken, and with it all the house of Gymir trembles." A serving maid. "A man is here without, dismounted from his horse's back. He lets his steed browse on the grass." Gerd. "Bid him enter into our hall, and drink of the bright mead, although I fear it is my brother slayer who waits without." "Who is this of the Alfars, or of the Æsir's son, or of the wise Vanir's? Why art thou come alone, through the hostile fire, our halls to visit?" Skirnir. "I am not of the Alfars, nor of the Æsir's sons, nor of the wise Vanir's, yet I am come alone through the hostile fire, your halls to visit. Apples all golden I have here 11, these I will give thee, Gerd, thy love to gain, that thou mayest say that Frey to thee lives dearest." Gerd. "The apples 11 I never will accept for any mortal's pleasure, nor will I and Frey, while our lives last, live both together." Skirnir. "The ring too I will give thee, which was burnt with the young son of Odin. 8 of equal weight will from it drop every 9th night." Gerd. "The ring I will not accept, burnt though it may have been with the young son of Odin. I have no lack of gold in Gymir's court, for my father's wealth I share." Skirnir. "Seest thou this sword, young maiden, thin, glittering bright, which I have here in hand? I thy head will sever from thy neck if thou speakst not favourably to me." Gerd. "Suffer compulsion will I never to please any man. Yet this I foresee, if thou and Gymir meet, ye will eagerly engage in fight." Skirnir. "Seest thou this sword, young maiden, thin, glittering bright, which I have here in hand? Beneath its edge shall the old Jotun fall, thy sire's death-doomed. With a taming wand I smite thee, and I will tame thee, maiden, to my will. Thou shalt go thither where the sons of men shall never more behold thee. On an eagle's mount thou shalt early sit, looking and turned towards hell. Food shall to thee more loathsome be than it is to any one the glistening serpent among men. As a prodigy thou shalt be when thou goest forth. Hrimnir shall gaze at thee. All beings at thee stare. More wide known thou shalt become than the watch among the gods, if thou from thy grating scape." Solitude and disgust, bonds and impatience, shall thy tears with grief augment. Set thee down, and I will tell thee of a whelming flood of care, and a double grief. Terror shall bow thee down the livelong day in the Jotun's courts. To the Hrimthursar's hall thou shalt each day crawl exhausted, joyless crawl, wail for pastime shalt thou have, and tears and misery. With the 3-headed Thurs thou shalt be ever bound, or be without a mate. Thy mind shall tear thee from morn to morn, as the thistle shalt be which has thrust itself on the housetop. To the world I have been, and to the human grove, a magic wand to get, a magic wand I got. Wroth with thee is Odin, wroth with thee is the Æsir's prince. Frey shall loathe thee even ere thou, wicked maid, shalt have felt the gods' dire vengeance. Hear ye, Jotuns, hear ye Hrimthursar, sons of Suttung, also ye Æsir's friends. How I forbid, how I prohibit man's joy unto the damsel, men's converse to the damsel. Hrimgrimnir the Thurs is named, thou shalt possess thee. In the grating of the dead beneath, thou shalt wretched thralls from the tree roots goat's water give thee. Other drink shalt thou, maiden, never get, either for thy pleasure, or for my pleasure. Thurs I cut for thee, and 3 letters mere, Ergi, and Odi, and Othola. So will I cut them out, as I have cut them in, if their need shall be. Gerd, hail to thee, prince youth, and accept an icy cup, filled with old mead, although I thought not that I ever should love one of Vanir race. Skirnir, all my errand will I know, ere I hence ride home. When wilt thou converse hold with the powerful son of Niord? Gerd, Barri the grove is named, which we both know, the grove of tranquil paths. 9 nights hence there is to Niord's son Gerd will grant delight. Skirnir then rode home. Frey was standing without, and spoke to him, asking tidings. Tell me, Skirnir, ere thou thy steed unsaddlest, and afoot hence thou goest, what thou hast accomplished in Jotunheim for my pleasure or thine. Skirnir, Barri the grove is named, which we both know, the grove of tranquil paths. 9 nights hence there to Niord's son Gerd will grant delight. Frey, long is one night, yet longer 2 will be. How shall I 3 endure? Often a month to me less has seemed than half a night of longing. Recording by Becky Cook. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org.